This is why majority of you stuck on supply and demand. That is not work with you. Now today I will explain how supply and demand work perfectly so that you guys will not mix. After you draw supply and demand, you will place your trade and what next? You will get stocks and then demand is not work. The level will not work. But you are missing one thing. What's this thing? Actually, supply and demand, you draw it correctly. But you are missing one thing. What's the thing? You are missing the correct. Today, I will teach you how to master supply and demand very well with what we called as LC. Now, out of 100% of people that they so actually the statistics says only 5% understand how to use supply and demand perfectly. Today, I will teach you so that you will understand supply and demand very well. You understand supply and demand, but if you want to become a profitable and successful trade, successful supply and demand, you have to understand what we call trade framework, trade system. And then this thing is what we call X, L, and C, which is structure, level, and confirmation. How do we do this? How will you understand this thing? I will teach you perfectly today. The supply and demand is the levels. You draw the supply and demand. That one is the level. But what of the structure and then the confirmation? This is what you are missing. So that is why you are getting stuck out of the market. Now today, we will teach you perfectly. The structure, this is the structure. You will understand what is market. Is this going on uptrend on that way? Because we have 3 types of market structure. We have uptrend, we have ranging, we have downtrend. So how do you understand what we mean by this uptrend and downtrend? The uptrend is telling you the market is going up, while the downtrend is telling you the market is going down. It will determine the direction of our trade before we enter any trade. So the uptrend, that is long trade. The downtrend, that is telling you to short the trade. So if you see the trade that is coming down perfectly like this, what your bias is to go for short trade. That is your bias. If you see the trade that is going on uptrend, your bias is to long the trade. So that is what you are missing. You will draw the line, and what next? After the line touch it, you think the trade will go perfectly. Sometimes the trade might just to retest before it's going up, because for down trade we have lower highs, lower low. For up trade we have higher highs, higher low. Now let's go on this trade with NASDAQ futures trading with 1 minute time frames. So actually this is the trade. The trade here, this is 1 minute time frame. The trade here, as you are seeing here, is on 100% time frame, 100% long trade. So let's change to 1 hour time frame to see what our bias very well. This is 1 hour time frame. The 1 hour time frame telling us the trade is 100 is uptrend too. But what happened when you are seeing the uptrend? It's coming down little. It's not just like the trade will be going up, up, up. No, it will bounce back little. That is what we call higher highs, higher low. If you see how the trade goes here, it go up, and what next? It bounce back little and it continue. That is lower highs. That is higher highs, higher low. But if you see the previous trade, it come down massively. That one is telling you that the bias have changed. The levels there is uptrend. And what we always do is that we look for the structure, level, and confirmation before we do anything. We go back to our 1 minute time frame to find where our bias is. So we have to find the structure and then how to analyze it perfectly. So what we are going to do now is to understand the supply and demand, which the supply is always the bottom and the demand is always at the top. This area show where aggressive buying or aggressive selling prefers to place. So demand level, this is at the top. It always shows where where the seller always step in, why the supply and demand, why the supply is always show where the buyer is always stepping. So what you understand, what you I will teach you today, you understand perfectly how to draw this line perfectly without not mixing anything, and how to understand the trade work in all these buyers. This is the time trade. It's telling you that this place is telling you that the buyer as the sellers has already take in, and what happened, we always draw our supply level at the top so that we you can know when to enter the trade again. And then the supplier is always telling you that what happened, the sellers always take in again. And then we will look for our buyers to short the trade. Now everything will work perfectly. This is the structure on 1 hour time frame. But what I always do is that we change back to 1 minute time frame so that you can understand perfectly. So this is the 1 minute time frame. The 1 minute time frame is telling you that the trade is about to pull back. And what will you do here is to look for the cleaner places to place your understand. This is where most of newbies are always stuck. They always look for buyers to short the trade when they see little pullback. No, I will look for a place that is always the retest, because this is 1 minute time frame. If you check 1 hour time frame perfectly, it's telling us that the trade is already going upward. And now I will look for a place that the trade is already text most of the time, which I call confluence. If you watch my previous video, I teach you about the confluence on my YouTube. And now this is what we will look for. The confluence is the place that is always texted twice or 3 times, and it always work for 1 hour time frame, and then it's already work on 1 minute time frame too. This is why we understand. And today, let's understand what confirmation is. It's for you to wait patiently for the market to touch, and then they find additional factors that confirm our trade. Now, what we do now is to wait for the trade to touch there, and after the trade will touch here, we will see what's going on. If the trade rejects the places, that means our mark is already 100% corrected. But if the trade if the trade rejects the places and enter again, that means the bias has already changed. So, but another thing is stochastics. This place is already telling us, it forms like related stress index below the chart. This thing is already telling us where the market is going on again. And I always use this thing to double our confirmation so that you can understand perfectly the bias that the trade is already in. Now you see what happened. It rejects this support line, and what happened? The trade go up. And if you look at this Satoshi that I bring out again, what happened? It's telling us that the trade is already going up again, which is we have two confirmation at this moment. What's next at this point? We always look for the long trade and we set your entry. At this moment, you are not guessing again, you are following the rules and you are enter the trade perfectly. So if you understand this thing perfectly, your trade will be always going 100% perfect without not doing anything. Now you see what happened. The trade goes up perfectly. This is what we call XLC, which is structure level confirmation. This is why majority of newbie always talks after they draw the support and resistance perfectly, but they always miss this thing. Understand this thing today so that your trade will be going up perfectly. Follow my channels and follow my everything so that you will not be among of